Dallas has just been on a tear. I believe we can attribute that to Jason Robertson. Also, Jake Ottinger, who's really stepped in.
Yeah, so we can compare a rookie QB to a toddler. Hayward's absence for this game will be significant, and I wouldn't be surprised if this game turns into a blowout as of late.
The Golden Knights just can't pull it. I really think the Avalanche are determined this year.
They made so many moves and grabbed so many guys that they have to win a championship or at least make the finals. They were on our championship and bust.
The same self, the only year he won an MVP was the year he cheated, which really should put something against that MVP. But
Yeah, and as a Cowboys fan, I have learned how dangerously good Aaron Rodgers has been with he can just thread a pass.
Hello, I am Ruby Ackerman, and you are listening to Outsider's Opinion with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week. We're going to take a little look back at two significant trades, one involving my favorite team. And I'm Kevin, and I am joined by the man that my team traded with his team last year, Austin.
That is true. KP is now a member, or I guess he has been a member for a while now, of the Mavs, and I'm happy with how it turned out. But now we're talking about trades that I'm sure Kevin is not happy how it turned out. Kyrie to Dallas, and we're also going to talk about KD to Phoenix. Kind of compare the two of them, but it's kind of hard. But what are your thoughts on Kyrie to Dallas? How's it worked? And all that.
So I was listening to a podcast about the Mavs, and the guy was like, the Mavericks, was happening to the Mavericks, he was like, is not because of Kyrie, but it's like it's other problems, which I agree with. Kyrie, I think, has been incredible, and he's exceeded my expectations. He's off the court issues not really happening. And he seems to be playing well. It's just the problem is what they gave up in that trade to me. They basically solved one problem, which was the second star with Luka. But then they created more problems with roster construction. Does that make sense? Do you agree with me, or?
Yeah, I'd say I agree with you. The only thing that I kind of have problems with is I don't think it really solved the second person because they're not on the court. Kyrie and Luka have missed a lot of games since, and to really show out of they have a second star, both of them have to be playing in games, and there's not been many games. There's been more games since the Kyrie trade where one or the other is playing than both of them playing together.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, and I think Luka. There's some reasons where Luka hasn't been playing, and I think that's because of like how much he was playing at the start of the season, because it was just Spencer Dinwiddie and Luka, and just putting Luka, because Luka just played a ton and was scoring a ton of points. So I think that, and then Kyrie just has had injury problems in the past, which was one thing with the trade I didn't really like. And to me, the Mavs gave up a lot for what could be a rental. And to me, some people want Mavs to tank. I wouldn't, because it's not guaranteed Kyrie's going to stay. And if Kyrie leaves, the Mavs gave up 2 players and 3 future draft picks. And I know Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian haven't been playing as well as they were here. I know Dorian has been struggling from 3, but I still think Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian are valuable pieces to a championship team.
What percentage chance do you give Kyrie to return to the Mavs?
I'm going to go 40%. I'll go 35.
I think that's pretty fair. I would probably agree with you because I obviously don't believe he's going to return, but I don't think it's impossible. I mean, Kyrie wants to win games, and if some of the or most of the fans I've heard are screaming, like you said, to tank, and that's not really an environment that I would want to be in if I was Kyrie personally. I mean, they're screaming for you to lose. They want you to lose games right now, and that's not something that I would be ecstatic about as a player. And Kyrie's someone that, while extremely good, definitely has an emotional side to him, and he's a player that uh, seeing stuff. I think that's part of the reason why he left LeBron is people were like, "Oh well, LeBron's just carrying Kyrie," and Kyrie's like, "I want to do my own thing." Well, if the whole thing is the Mavs suck and that the Mavs need to lose so that they can get a better player like Wembanyama for the future, well, does Kyrie want to be in a situation like that? I don't think so. But I think there's a lot of time for stuff like that to work itself out. And maybe if the Mavs make the playoffs, which right now they're still not sitting in the play in, so that's kind of
Yeah.
difficult. Maybe if they go on a run, Kyrie returns, but I think a 35-40% chance is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and I know there are rumors. Last time I was on Twitter, um, there are rumors that the Lakers weren't going to pursue Kyrie, which to me kind of increased the chances to me because if the Lakers aren't going to be going after Kyrie, what other teams are going to
Clippers.
Clippers? Okay, Clippers.
I think
Do,
the Clippers make cap space for that to happen. I think they could make enough moves.
so it'd be like a Knicks cap space move like they did last year to get Brunson, or could the Mavs do a trade, a sign and trade?
Maybe they could
Okay,
do a sign and trade, but I think there's a better chance that they don't. I don't
dang it.
think. I think Kyrie may take a 1 year deal, less money to win because he's been in a situation where he was expected to win in Boston. They won one playoff series and they got swept by the Bucks.
Yeah.
Where the Nets they were supposed to win, they lost in the second round in their best chance, and I'm pretty sure.
That maybe in the future we do a video about that series because do you remember how it ended or
Well, yes, I of course remember that KD
well
stepped on the line.
yeah the stepping on the line, just the career trajectories that could have happened in
Oh, I
that what
fully
if world.
understand, and that's something that I think is taken into consideration by a lot of NBA historians because I think that's a good segue to KD with the Suns. KD's still hurt; he keeps getting injured. Uh, I don't think the trades really worked out for them as well. And getting Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, if there's a question whether the Nets won the Mavs trade, there's no question in my mind they won
Oh
the
yeah,
Phoenix trade.
and I'll ask you because I'll have to insert the Shaq meme of apologizing to Mikal Bridges. I wasn't that familiar with your game. How is there a stat that you know of where it shows the on ball where Mikal Bridges is bringing the ball up and not playing off ball? Because I just viewed him as like a really good 3-and-D player, and like he had
Oh,
some like
I always thought
he
that
was
he
just
had that
better than that.
potential. In college he kind of proved that potential, and even with playing with Brunson in college, which now looking back is it doesn't surprise me that the 2018 Villanova team was so dominant and ended up winning a championship because I mean they had Mikal Bridges, they had Brunson, they had some of these other guys, but Mikal is someone that I believed when he was younger that he'd have the opportunity to grow into a player, but he never really had time to grow his on ball abilities, which kind of surprised me how quickly he's taken over in this role.
Yeah, because I didn't mean to like single him down to a 3D player, but I think you where I got he was an you get what I mean. But to explain it more, it's he was a he was a defensive player of the year candidate. He didn't win it. He's never won it.
He was a defensive player of the year candidate last year, yes.
Okay, and to me, he's an incredible part of a championship team. So when the Suns lost him to get KD, I understood it. But then you also consider 4 first round draft picks, 2028 first round pick swaps, and Cam Johnson, relatively young player. So I like that too. And they got Jay Crowder in that deal, and the Suns flipped him for a bunch of second round picks. So I would agree. Brooklyn has won that trade and basically won both trades because I think Dorian can be traded. They got 2 second round picks, so they just have a bunch of second round picks and a first round draft pick unprotected in 2029 for what could be a rental, most likely a rental in our opinions because we have it less than 50% chance of Kyrie returning to the Mavs. But and I think that really the Suns, if Sean Marks keeps his job, I think that's a huge thing that's a huge rebound off that KD Harden Kyrie experiment.
Yeah, and I think the Nets are still a good team. They're still projected to be a 6 seed, not even playing the play in. And while the Suns, if they get KD back in time, will still probably be a good playoff team, and we'll have to see how that all works out. They're building for the future, and I think Sean Marks deserves to stay after making these remarkable trades, getting so many draft picks back after trading so many away. So I think they kind of saved their future making these moves.
Yes. And you were talking about good roster, and I didn't realize they were six. That's really good for them, given how were they seven or were they a 3 seed when they made the trade?
I believe they were a 5 seed,
Okay.
and they just moved down one, which is not all that crazy of a fall off considering what they ended up losing.
Yeah, because I believe their biggest need right now is a ball handler because they gave up two huge ball handlers. I know they have
I guess, but
Dinwiddie.
with Dimwitty plus the fact of I think I just let Mikal grow. I think that's
Okay.
probably their best option.
So, and they also have Cam Thomas, so he's a nice young guard. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. Because defensively, they're incredible. Outside of Seth Curry. Well, Seth Curry's probably average, less than average. He's an all right dude at defense.
Yeah, he's fine. He's not someone that needs to guard anybody amazing, but he can do a job. I
But
do
when
want
you
to
have,
ask you.
or yeah,
Oh wait,
my bad.
yeah. We'll just talk quickly about defense with Claxton, a defensive player of the year candidate, somebody I have at number 2. Then obviously Mikal, Cam Johnson's a great defender. You obviously have Royce O'Neal, who I think is a very underrated defender. You do have some lackluster defenders, and Joe Harris, or I don't think Spencer's the greatest defender in the world, but there's a lot of potential there. But I kind of want to go on to which of the two trades do you think worked out for the other team? So do you think the Mavs made it out better or the Suns? I would argue Suns because they still have a prospect of making the playoffs and doing something with KD.
Yes, I would agree with you there. And one more thoughts on defense. There are some guys that are fine, but everyone else can really pick up the slack. I think I'm a huge fan of Dorian. I think he's a good defender. Mikel's obviously great, and you mentioned all the other great defenders. So I think that's a really good space to be in. And I would agree with you on the Suns. To add another point is KD's under contract for 3 more years.
I was checking right now. That's what I'm scrolling to find. Yes, he's under contract till 2026.
Okay, and maybe he leaves in 2 years, but there's still that contract obligation. There is no contract obligation with Kyrie, and I'm curious how the Suns get that depth. And this could be one final run with Chris Paul, but you have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. As much as I dislike Booker, Booker's still a good player and above a great player. And KD can really step into that lead role, and that's who would be my pick. I'm interested in the Mavs if they can somehow keep Kyrie, which I can't believe I'm hoping for it, but for this trade to work, you need to keep Kyrie and maybe get a new coach. I know you've said that probably won't happen, but
It's not
then
happening this year. I'm telling you right now, it won't. Kid just led the team to a remarkable run. No one really anticipated them making the Western Conference Finals, and to get rid of him after one bad season, I think is would be unparalleled, and especially something that's out of the realm of possibility for someone like Mark Cuban to end up doing.
that's true. Yeah, yeah, I know I was being hopeful in that. Just because my problem with Kid is based on how the roster is constructed, I think if they can make some more moves and you keep Kyrie, then they would just have to fill in supporting roles, which I think is a easier option than trading for a second star. Because the Mavs have two young players in Josh Green, Jaden Hardy, and I would start Josh Green. And then I would have hopefully, well, Christian Wood's probably gone
Christian
because
Wood, it's not a problem. He is gone.
because of
There's a
and that's my
99.9% chance
and
he's gone.
that's another big thing with Kid is I don't get he seems to have something against Christian Wood. Because have you seen the minutes?
I have. It's concerning to say the least.
It's just, why not try something different? Dwight is a serviceable center, but I would just go all offense with Christian Wood. And for the people that don't know minutes, Christian Wood most likely on probably a good night, and where Jason Kidd isn't being crazy, gets 20 minutes. I'm curious to think, because it's usually around 15 minutes per game.
He gets more than 15.
Okay, the last time I was listening to it was so
Christian
there's
Wood
one.
this year is playing 26 minutes per game. Let me see his last couple, though. 29, 12, 12, 12, 17, 26, 24, 29, 34, 28. That's his
Okay,
last, like, 10-ish games.
all right, so okay, uh, it's when he was getting 12. I may have been listening when he was getting 12, and I just didn't understand it because he's a good center, and he has some bonuses as a center, but that's one of my problems with Kidd and just not playing Jaden Hardy, then playing Jaden Hardy a ton. I just don't get his rotation or his choosing his players.
Oh, I fully understand your dismay, but I'm just saying that the chance of you guys getting rid of him before next season starts is extremely low, in my
Probably
opinion.
like 3%.
Yeah, yeah. There's still a better chance that Christian Wood returns. A better chance of Christian Wood leaving than Jason Kidd leaving. No, I
Yeah, that
said that
makes
wrong.
sense.
There's a better chance of Kidd getting fired than Christian Wood returning because
Okay.
Christian Wood's almost 100% gone.
Yeah, which I don't blame him. But yeah, that's kind of turned into a well, it is a Mavs segment, so I got to air my concerns. But yeah, KD, I understand putting KD and maybe they do a trade where they get something from DeAndre Ayton. There's a lot more possibilities with the Suns trade than the Mavs trade. So, any final thoughts?
Nope. I'm kind of disappointed in both teams, especially the Mavs, because I mean to go from last year Western Conference Finals with such a young team and Luka to now what it's looking like. Does Luka stay? And that's a terrible question you want to
Yeah,
have
I
to be
know it's,
asking.
but but if you're gonna tank, if you want to, we can end it after this point because you were talking about Kyrie. The whole point of trading for Kyrie was going all in on this season. So why back out? If you wanted to tank, if you didn't do the Kyrie trade, I would totally be for it. Like I totally understand. You give Luca, you talk to Luca, but yeah, I would. That's one thing that I'm starting to worry about is Luca's leaving because it just doesn't seem to be working. And if you want to tank, so I know I'm on the outside of not tanking, but if you're wasting a year of Luca and you don't know how much longer he's going to be staying. So that's all I got. Any final inspiring words, Austin, or do you just want to end it on this disappointing note?
Kyrie
Or
always says before he leaves that he'll stay there forever.
that's true. He did spend a bunch of money to go to the state fair next year with Dwight Powell and Maxi Kleba. So I don't know. We'll
You
see.
can always do that on a break day that you don't have a game and the Mavs don't have a game whenever he plays next year.
That would be an awkward time. Hey, I know I bought that. I'm with the Clippers now. Want to still go? I would just go, man, let's forget it. And make sure to check us out. Thank you for listening. Check out all the videos we're posting. OO_podcast, I believe is our Twitter. OO_podcast 20, I believe is our Instagram. We're on Spotify, YouTube. And that's all we got. Thank you for listening and all the support.